Caitlyn Clark is front and center in ESPN's latest article about a possible WNBA work stoppage. And look, everybody does it, right? Like, so I ain't pointing fingers, certainly, right? Because that is part of the game, and it's also the power of her name. Nafisa Collier brought up Caitlyn Clark in the negotiations toward Kathy Engelbert strategically. She knew exactly what it would do by mentioning her name. Full stop, right? Full stop. But it's kind of ironic to me because so many folks spent so much time trying to talk about anything else but Caitlyn Clark, or to fight against that impact, or try to diminish it, or to say there's too much coverage of Caitlyn Clark, when she's really not a huge direct player in the negotiations. She is kind of the subtext to the whole thing. So you understand why she's used, right? I mean, you understand Caitlyn Clark wearing that shirt, "Pay us what you owe us," was probably the single most important thing that has happened for the players. I have joked over and over again, it's getting old at this point, but I still think it's funny. "Pay us what you owe us" could read "pay us what you owe her." It's just when you go into the actual piece here, when they're talking about they frame it as what's at stake for every player in the CBA negotiations. They start with Caitlyn Clark at the top of the players' examples. Clark, for example, has a high-profile endorsement deals with companies such as Nike, State Farm, and Gatorade that provide her much more income than her WNBA salary, which Kathy Engelbert brought up, right? Like, that was her point. She is part of a group of players, both veterans and those still on rookie contracts, who could weather a potential work stoppage without financial hardship. That said, a key part of earning endorsements is visibility, which the WNBA provides. Also, Kathy Engelbert messaging right there. Clark has 2 years left on the rookie contract she signed as the number 1 pick in 2024. Once she becomes a free agent, she could afford financially to do what Wilson has done, take a lower salary to ensure playing with a strong group of teammates that fits under the salary cap. However, we don't know if the new CBA will result in fewer instances of players being willing or feeling the need to do that. Look, that's also a common thing. We've seen it in the NBA where players take small pay cuts in order to fit somebody under the cap. But at the same time, generally unions don't want players to take less than what they're worth because of the messaging it sends everywhere else. As far as Clark is concerned, I mean, I don't really think anything is at stake for her other than being on the court, and for her fans not seeing her on the court. The idea that she's going to lose endorsement deals is silly. Those are all signed, sealed, and delivered. Nike and Gatorade and State Farm and whoever else, Wilson, are not backing off from those deals because of a potential work stoppage in the WNBA. As far as her salary and everything, we expect it to go way up. But the article is right there to say she's not one that is dependent on WNBA income in order to make things go, in order to provide, let's say, or survive. That's not the case. But it is interesting that she's still used as the face. And she's spoken on it, don't get me wrong. She said the players need to make more money. She says this is the single most important moment in the history of the league. I'd imagine she's throwing her weight around behind the scenes as well. So I don't want to act like Caitlyn Clark is like some innocence, the wrong word, but a bystander in these proceedings or in these negotiations. She's clearly not. But she's also not front and center. Right? Like, front and center is Nneka Ogwumike, who took the deal with Project B. Front and center is Nafisa Collier, who called out Kathy Engelbert very, very publicly and is a co-founder in Unrivaled. I mean, to that same extent, you could throw Breanna Stewart into that mix when you say front and center. I mean, they are Nneka Ogwumike, Nafisa Collier, and Breanna Stewart are not only on the executive committee, with Ogwumike being the president and Collier and Stewart being vice presidents, they're all involved in off-season leagues. So really, when it comes to the root of the negotiations, they are the ones that stand out the most. But we know all of this is happening because Caitlyn Clark came into the WNBA. That's, you can strip away everything else, and get to the root or the heart of the matter, which is that all of this is happening because Caitlyn Clark came into the WNBA. The players are in a position to ask for what they're asking for because Caitlyn Clark came into the WNBA. The league got the media rights deal that it got because Caitlyn Clark came into the WNBA. She is used as the photo in the story because it'll get more clicks because Caitlyn Clark is the face of the WNBA. So, I mean, it's not a new idea to fight back against pretending otherwise, but it's just interesting in this slow period as these negotiations are going along that I thought it caught my eye when I was scrolling. Let me just put it that way. There's also a little bit of a focus on the Indiana Fever in there as far as Kelsey Mitchell. Mitchell was the highest paid player in the WNBA last year, but unlike other players who are close to maximum salary, such as Asia Wilson, Mitchell doesn't have the off-court brand and endorsement deals to give her large supplemental income. Because of this, she doesn't have the same flexibility as others making more off the court to take a lower salary to allow more players to join her team. There's a lot of arguing to have players take lower salaries here. I don't think that should be the end result. I think the end result should be the salaries going up and the salary cap increasing as well, so players don't have to take lower salaries in order for teams to bring in more players to help supplement them. But moral of that story is let's get Kelsey Mitchell some endorsement deals because she certainly has earned them. I mean, I see Sophie Cunningham everywhere. I see Lexi Hull everywhere to a certain extent. Kelsey Mitchell's profile has been raised tremendously as of late. So should her endorsement deals. Those things should come along and go hand in hand. We're in that 30-day extension for the CBA. And I would say the quiet is probably good news at this point. I mean, maybe not the Neko Ogumake thing. That was a bit of a shot across the bow. But otherwise, you haven't seen a lot of bickering back and forth in the public. You're seeing coaches get hired. You're seeing teams make moves, like the Fever did, hiring an assistant coach as well. You're seeing, the organized functions with teams still at this point. They announced the draft lottery for ESPN November 23rd. That's like a week in front of when the CBA is supposed to expire. So maybe all of that is good news. Again, I just, long story short, it doesn't behoove anybody to not get a deal done. And both sides should be a little bit unhappy whenever you have a deal of this magnitude. But we know why the deal is of this magnitude. And if you need any more proof, all you got to do is take a look at ESPN's coverage.